I ain't never heard of your Jew. Maybe it's here tonight. Is it here tomorrow night? The week after that? Nah. I've been a messenger every Saturday night for the last 10 years. Message gonna be there another 10 years after that, at least. Shit. That's probably more time than I got left on this earth stack. I play and I get as much corn liquor as I can drink. Sinner like me, I can't ask for more than that.
This is Scotty and Andrew, and you're listening to Fun with Horror.
Hey, everybody. I'm Scotty.
And I'm Andrew.
I'm Meka G.
Hell yes.
Awesome.
And welcome to episode number 160 of Fun with Horror. This is the most wholesome horror movie podcast in the entire world. We are two best friends who keep in touch by taking turns giving each other horror movies to watch, and then we discuss them.
Last episode, I got to pick, and I picked a relatively unknown movie that didn't do much in the theaters. Just kidding. It was a fantastic, did well in the theaters, and that was Sinners. And of course, stay tuned to the end of this episode where we get to hear what Scotty picks for the next movie. But without further ado...
Oh, once again, I forgot that I have to pick a movie.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
But anyway, Meka G is here.
Hello. That's my British accent.
Oh, I like it.
That was beautiful. We thought you were British this whole time.
Yeah.
Not. I'm not.
Meka G, you are from the Cinematic Nightmares podcast. Tell us about it.
Cinematic Nightmares. So I started Cinematic Nightmares on Instagram in 2023. At that time I was just posting 31 days of horror and things like that. So eventually I was like, you know what? You should just do a podcast. And so I branched out to YouTube, and my Instagram page kind of blew up. And so my YouTube channel is also moving slowly as well too, but good. I do top fives on there every Sunday. I've been doing interviews. I got like 2 interviews booked coming up, and I also just did a couple of videos on 50-year anniversary of Jaws. So yeah, I just talk movies. I love horror. That's my passion. So that's Cinematic Nightmares. It is.
You know, I have been following you for a little while. You know this.
Yes.
And I remember that you would always talk about how you were about to start a podcast, you're about to start a video channel, and I was waiting, and then bam, it happened. And I've told you this before, but I've seen how fast you're growing, and I'm super proud of you.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Scotty's like my best friend on like Threads.
Yeah.
Wait, he's my best friend. Hold on now.
Well,
You might have just lost your spot.
Oh no. This is just like high school all over again.
Well, Meka, since it's your first time on Fun with Horror, by the way, thank you for coming on this episode.
Of course.
And especially because I know you love this movie that we're going to talk about, but we're not going to talk about it just yet. We always have 3 questions that we ask people the first time they're on Fun with Horror. So, do you know those 3 questions, Andrew?
I'm going to let you take it away because I forgot them. We don't have a lot of guests, so
That's true. That's true, and you're not always here when we do.
That's true.
So the first question: what movie or movies got you into horror? And tell us about that real quick.
5 years old, living in Florida. My mom had a VHS tape that had like multiple movies on it. Had like Purple Rain, Ghostbusters, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. Weirdest combination, right? Watch Purple Rain, watch Ghostbusters. What is this? And my introduction to horror was A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 and 2, because it was back to back on the same
Wow.
VHS tape.
When you were 5.
When I was 5.
Wow. Wow.
So
how
ever since then, it was just like, I need more.
were you scared at all when you saw it?
No. Mm-mm. Crazy thing is, I remember watching it with my baby sister, and she's like a year and a half younger than me. So her she's even younger than me. So we watched it, and I remember like always popping in that same VHS tape, and I knew in order it was Purple Rain, Ghostbusters, Nightmare on Elm Street.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
That's a pretty sweet VHS tape. I'm not gonna lie. That's awesome.
Right. Like
Oh,
I've been
man.
meaning to ask my mom, like, how did you what Purple Rain, Ghostbusters, Nightmare on Elm Street, 1 and 2. Make it make sense.
Wow. I mean, I saw Nightmare on Elm Street when I was 11, and it scared the hell out of me. So I'm impressed that you weren't scared at 5.
Not at all. But,
Yeah.
oh no, baby's weird. Like, sounds kind of weird. Not being scared at 5. But there have been horror movies that have terrified me as a kid.
We're going to get to that. But question number 2, what are your favorite horror movies or horror movie in the world?
So it changes like the wind. Right now, it's this movie that we're getting ready to talk about. And also the Friday the 13th remake.
Yes.
If we're going to go classic and cheesy and just knows it's bad, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love it.
We definitely got the right guest to come on this show.
Yeah, honestly, you're naming things, and both Scotty and I are giving each other looks like, yes,
Yeah.
that's awesome. We've talked about these. Like,
We've
so
talked
cool.
about the Friday the 13th remake quite a few times and how it's amazing.
It really is.
It really is. Like I said, if they when they redid the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, I said y'all should have took a chapter from the Friday the 13th remake and did it.
Yeah.
And even with the new, I guess they're redoing Leatherface and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Go watch Friday the 13th remake and do it that way.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with that. Okay, so question number 3, of course, then. What scares you in movies?
Oh, I don't do possession movies like The Exorcist. Can't do The Conjuring. No, I can't do The Conjuring. I can't do The Conjuring. I can't do possession movies. At one point, I couldn't do mirrors.
Right on.
I couldn't do mirrors. And
what about Oculus?
see, I watched Oculus. Oculus was fine. I mean, it was like a mirror, like taking over the house. But I mean, when I say mirrors, I mean I couldn't look at myself in the mirror and not say somebody's name and try not to say somebody's name in my head.
Oh wow,
that's awesome.
So we're talking about Candyman.
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm. But you know what's crazy? I have the doll, and he's sitting on my desk, and he looks at me all the time, and I'm like, "We're square.
We're good. We're good."
Now, what about Paranormal Activity 3? There's a Bloody Mary part in that.
I know. Honestly, I didn't care for that movie. I cared for like the first 2, and then after that, it just like got really ridiculous, and it was just like, what are we doing here, y'all?
I usually agree, but I thought number 3 was scarier than number 2, and then after that, it kind of got less scary. But I enjoyed the lore and the story that they started to tell. But 1 and 3, now those scared the hell out of me. So
3 didn't scare me. 2 scared. Well, no, 1 definitely scared me because I saw it in the movie theater. That scared the hell out of me. I was like, sleep with all the lights on tonight. Yes. Made me want to go buy a video camera just so I could videotape myself sleeping and hoping that the door doesn't close on its own.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
I don't know if I could even do that because I'd be scared it would open and close on its own.
I said that, but then I know me. I'm a chicken. I'll be like, yeah, so I'm not going to go watch that footage. If it closed, it closed. I woke up in the morning, the door was closed. I don't know what to do.
AC hit it. That's all it was. That's what you can say. Yep.
One of the dogs walked by and got it.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't have a dog.
That part.
Don't worry about it.
So wait, you say you don't do possession movies. Now, can you not watch them, or do you watch them and try to get through them?
I think the last possession movie I watched was the Exorcist with the two little girls, and I kind of had to coach myself to watch it. I was like, yeah, just watch it during the daytime with the blinds open, so you feel safe. And so I was like, okay. So I watched it, and then when I watched it, I was like, well, this was dumb. I could have went to the movie theater and saw this, and I'd have been
Aw.
fine. But like the first Exorcist movie, I have only seen it twice in my whole life.
Right on.
I've
Okay.
only seen it twice.
Wow.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
You know,
Well-
I've that's been a fear I've heard from many people, is it's the possession ones. Like any possession movies are the ones where it's nope, no go. And I get it. I totally get it.
I think it's like the extreme possession movies where like they completely like in green slime and ooze coming out their eyes and all. Like I Evil Dead to me, I've only seen it twice. See Evil Dead twice in my life, and even the remake. I think the remake I've only seen one time, and I was just like, nope, I'm good. We're good.
That's fair. That there's a lot in that movie.
Oh, there's a hell of a lot in that movie. My Lord.
it's brutal.
My Lord. All right. Well, thank you for answering the questions. Before we move on, though, we have one little thing, Andrew. As you know, sometimes people leave comments on Spotify. We actually did a 3-movie series on a movie that was requested on Spotify. Cody Johnstone requested that we do 1982 John Carpenter's The Thing, and we ended up doing all 3 movies based on The Thing. And he commented one more time. He commented on our The Thing 2011 episode, and he said, I requested one thing, and you gave us all 3. You guys rock. So there you go.
Go to you, Rock. Thank you.
Yeah, we might not have done those movies if not for Cody Johnstone.
That's true. That's very true. And they were a lot of fun. So thank you.
I have no idea how to segue this, so we're going to talk about Sinners now. Nothing clever about that one, Andrew. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I got nothing as well. So
We're just a bunch of sinners.
there you go.
No. Oh.
Ooh.
I'll trade you.
I don't want your money.
Don't be stupid now.
I ain't stupid. Your money come with blood,
All money come with blood, baby.
not like yours.
This shit won't even spend nowhere else. Look
I
at
ain't
it.
going nowhere else. I don't need that cursed money you got.
Sinners was released April 18th, 2025, and it is directed and written by Ryan Coogler and cinematography by Autumn, Durald, Arkapaw. It stars Michael B. Jordan as Smoke and Stack, Miles Caton as Preacher Boy or Sammy, Delroy Lindo as Delta Slim, Jack O'Connell as Remick, Wunmi Mosaku as Annie, Hailee Steinfeld as Mary, Jayme Lawson as Pearline, Lee Jun Lee as Grace Chow, Yao as Bo Chow, and Omar Benson Miller as Cornbread.
That's right. You made it. You got through it.
I made it. I know. I blame my contacts on some of those, but it's all right.
I think it's Pearline, but
Did I say what I say?
You said Pearline.
Pearline.
I think you said
Oh.
pearlaciousness.
Did I?
Yeah.
That sounds like me.
Oh, boy. Well, before
Oy.
we get into any spoiler territory, we're going to find out what we all thought of this movie. And since it's Andrew's movie and he picked it, and because I think we all know what Meka and I thought of this movie. Andrew, no
Yeah.
pressure, but
Yeah,
what did you
right.
think of Sinners without spoilers?
Without spoilers, I would say Sinners is a perfect movie. Period. There you go.
There you go. Meka, without spoilers, what do you think of Sinners? Even though we kind of already know.
This movie is a masterpiece. It's a master class in how to do it
How many times have you seen it?
more than I care to count. Probably like 8,
Okay.
7 or 8 now.
Awesome. And Scotty, what about you, buddy? What do you think of this movie?
Just like you guys, Sinners is, I mean, Meka took the words out of my mouth. It's a masterpiece. The moment I was watching it the first time, about, 30 minutes into the movie, I just started to think this is the best movie of this year. I don't see any way that this movie can go downhill because every scene is a work of art. And I've seen it 4 times now, and every time it gets me. every single time. And I think it was the second time I watched the movie, I started to think this is going to be one of my favorite movies of all time, period. Not just horror movies, but any movie. So that's Sinners. So there we go. This is going to be a love fest. Although,
oh yeah,
I will talk about nothing, not really quibbles, but just two little things that I will bring up. Just they're so tiny. They're so tiny. But before that, we've got our spoilers coming up. We're about to spoil Sinners. So if you haven't seen Sinners yet, you're in luck because by the time this episode is out, it's on HBO Max. July 4th, evidently, is the date I heard that it hits HBO Max, and July 4th has passed by the time this episode comes out. So, and now we also do a thing where we talk about any major trigger warnings having to do with animals or what have you. And Andrew, are there any animals in this movie?
There is a snake in this movie.
And does the snake die?
It does die. So be aware. You will see a snake die in this film.
But that's it. That's it. If you're sensitive to snakes dying, then maybe look up where that happens in the movie and skip past that little scene. But otherwise, it's a pretty trigger-free movie, except for normal horror movie trigger stuff.
Yeah.
So, but you know what that means? Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Scotty is getting his 20-sided die ready for the 3-minute recap. But we have the amazing Meka with us, so we're going to do things maybe a little differently.
If it's 1, 4, or 7, it's going to be Andrew. If it's 2, 5, or 8, it'll be me. If it's 3, 6, or 9, it'll be Meka. If it's a 10, we're going to re-roll.
Okay, so we're doing a 10-sided die. That makes life a lot easier.
Oh, wait. That's right, a 10-sided die. Let me pull that out. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. And if it's anything higher, we're skipping the 3-minute recap.
There we go. All right. Tell me when to stop, Meka.
Stop.
It is a 2. Andrew, I'm doing it.
Oh, thank God. I was like, wait, I'm one. No.
I almost forgot what my own numbers.
Wait, what?
I thought I got out of this. Meant. My heart stopped for just a second there. Oh, boy.
I was ready. I was like, yes, this.
Oh, boy. Well, just heads up, I did call our dear friend, Ryan Coogler, and I said, hey, as you know, one of our best friends. And I said, hey, Scotty's probably going to be doing the 3-minute recap. How are you with that? Are you okay with that? And he said, I wouldn't. He said, I would only prefer Meka do it, but if I had to have a second, I'd pick Scotty. So
I mean, because Meka is dating Michael B. Jordan,
it's true.
Yeah,
it's true. It's all over the news.
But I'm dating Michael A. Jordan, so
I'll take Michael C. Jordan. I mean, honestly, we can all have a Michael A, B, or C. Jordan. I think. What a victory!
We'll have a Michael B. Jordan society.
There we go.
We'll all have a shunting with Michael B. Jordan.
Ooh. Boy, things took a weird turn, Meka. Welcome to our show again.
Ryan Coogler, though, did you ask him if Shuri's going to remain Black Panther or if they have a new Black Panther coming?
I asked him, and then he went under a tunnel, and it cut out. So I have no clue. I know
he actually told you, but
he did. But he was driving, and it was a whole thing. So yeah.
Yep. All right.
So whenever you're ready, friend, let's hear this beautiful 3-minute recap of Sinners.
For some reason, I did not think I'd be doing it.
Well, thank God it's not me.
And thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
All right. So, oh, man. How does this... Jeez. This whole movie... The whole movie's in my head right now. It's so hard. It's so difficult right now. Okay, so Sinners, it starts at the end. Preacher boy Sammy drives up in his car. He's bloody. He's got scratches on his face. He's holding the stem of a guitar. It's broken off. He goes into the church where his father's preaching, and his father says, "Come here, son, put the guitar down." And then we go back a day in the past, one single day. Sammy is in the fields. He's picking cotton, and he is finishing his work day. He goes home. He looks under his bed. The guitar is not there. He goes into the church where his dad is, and his dad is thinking he's going to have Sammy speak at church the next morning. So he wants Sammy to practice, but Sammy's got plans. He's like, Dad, I just got done with my work early, and I'm going to go. And that's right when Smoke and Stack pull up. Smoke and Stack are twin brothers. They have bought an old mill in the middle of nowhere, actually, from this, his name is Hogswell or Hog something. Hogwell, I think is his name. Hogsworth?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Hogsworth. And he's not a great person. And we get an idea some stuff has happened in this mill, but the brothers buy the mill from him, and their whole plan is they are going to have a juke joint that night. So they pick up Sammy. They have to split up because they've only got a day to prepare. So Sammy and Stack, they first go off. They go to the train station. They meet Delta Slim. Delta Slim, played by Delroy Lindo. And Delta Slim is playing music there at the train tracks. It looks like he's busking a little bit. Stack talks him into playing at the juke joint that night after he gives him a Irish beer. Then we find out that Sammy knows how to play guitar. There's a really great moment actually in the car with Stack and Sammy where Sammy plays guitar for him and Stack just has a look of unbelievability on his face, and it's amazing. We also meet Mary. Mary is a white presenting girl. We kind of find out that Stack, when he and Smoke went to Chicago to do what they were going to do, Stack left Mary there in this Mississippi town. Do we ever know the town's name? Or is it, it's just kind of a nameless town in Mississippi from what I remember. Anyway, so we also meet Pearline. Pearline is a married woman, and she sees Sammy playing guitar. Her and Sammy have a little bit of a flirt. And then Stack and Delta Slim and Sammy go off. They drive off in the car. We hear a very horrible story from Delta Slim, but it's one of the most amazing moments in this movie, and we'll talk about that later, I'm sure. Then we have Smoke. Smoke first goes into town where he needs to meet up with Bo and Grace Chow. Bo and Grace Chow, they run seemingly two different stores in this town. Smoke asks them to prepare some food, and he negotiates with Grace to have her make a sign for the juke joint. Smoke then goes to see Annie. Annie is his ex. Evidently, they had a baby, and the baby did not live. And so Smoke visits the baby's grave, and then he goes in to talk to Annie. He asks Annie to also make some food for this juke joint, but at the same time, they have a conversation, and we find out a little bit more about their relationship. He tells her that he loves her and that he misses her, and it's a great moment. Then things there's a little bit of a montage, and then, bam, a man smoking in the sun, not smoking a cigarette, but his body is literally smoking, lands in front of the camera, and he's going up to this house. In this house are this white couple. We see through the door that they are members of the Ku Klux Klan, and this man is asking them for help. He's also a white man. And as he's asking for help, they let him come inside, but then all of a sudden these Native Americans show up, and they tell them that they need to give them this guy, this man, because he's not good. I think we all know that this man that went into their house is a vampire. The woman tells the Native Americans to go, and she goes back into the house to find that the man named Remick has torn into the other guy. And then he attacks the woman, and we move on to the juke joint. Now we're at the juke joint where the rest of the movie takes place, and this is way longer than 3 minutes, or maybe getting very close to 3 minutes. So basically, a lot of stuff happens at this juke joint, including one of the greatest scenes in cinematic history. Then the vampires show up. They can't get inside because nobody invites them inside because Annie, has a bad feeling about them. So do a couple of the others. So they go off playing their Irish folk music. Mary goes outside eventually to talk to them because the juke joint's not making enough money. As she talks to them, some weird things happen, and as she turns her back to them to walk back inside, you see Remick start to go up into the air, and that's that. Mary comes back inside. Cornbread lets her in. Cornbread is working the door. He lets her in. Mary ends up in a room with Stack on top of him. They trade spit, and and then Preacher Boy Sammy goes in and finds Mary biting into Stack's neck. Mary comes up covered in blood. We find out then that, yeah, she's a vampire now. She runs outside. Now they tell everybody else to leave, and there's just a bunch of them left in the juke joint, and all the vampires are outside. They're river dancing. A lot of great stuff is happening. Stack comes back to life, and he pushes down the door, and he would have maybe killed some people, except Annie comes up with some pickled garlic, throws it on him. He's outside. Now everybody's outside. There's a really cool scene where they start to pass around this garlic to make sure none of them are vampires. I'm not going to get into everything that happens, but nobody inside is a vampire. But unfortunately, Bo Chow, who went out to get the car for him and Grace, he had been turned into a vampire. Grace is starting to lose it. She thinks that they should just fight all the vampires, and she suddenly yells out for all of them to come inside and come get it, which that's the invitation that the vampires need. All of a sudden, there's a big, huge fight ensuing. Annie dies. Delta Slim dies. Preacher Boy's up on the balcony with Smoke. Smoke is fighting Vampire Stack. Pearline dies. And then Preacher Boy goes outside, and he's running off, and Remick comes up behind him, and there's some stuff that goes on. Preacher Boy ends up slamming his guitar into Remick's head, embedding the silver, I forget what they call that part of the guitar, but the silver disc part of the guitar in Remick's head. And then Remick is about to bite into Sammy and kill him, but at that moment, Smoke comes up behind, stakes Remick through the heart. That also, all the other vampires can feel it. It doesn't kill them, but they can feel it, but that gives them just enough pause so that the sun comes out, burns them all. So now all the vampires are gone. Smoke and Sammy are left alive. Smoke tells Sammy to go on home. Sammy goes home. Smoke is getting prepared because he knows something's happening here at the juke joint in the early morning. And sure enough, Hogsworth and the other white Ku Klux Klan members show up because it turns out Hogsworth is actually the Grand Dragon. And they show up, but Smoke starts taking them out, sniping them at first, and then he picks up a big automatic rifle and starts just shooting them all. He gets shot, unfortunately, during the moment until it's just him and Hogsworth left. He gets a smoke from Hogsworth, and then as he's sitting there, he's dying, and he sees Annie and their little baby. And Annie tells him to put the cigarette down. She doesn't want to get smoke on the baby. And then Hogsworth interrupts his reverie, his little nice dream there. And so Smoke picks up his automatic rifle and shoots the hell out of Hogsworth, and everybody cheers. And then, yeah, Smoke passes off. He dies. And then we're left with Sammy. Sammy is at the church, and we see his father telling him to put the guitar down. And he doesn't put the guitar down. We go into the future. Now it's 1992 or so, 93. Do you remember the year that in the future? 92. Okay. So it's 1992. Sammy is now an old man playing the blues in this club. What do you know? After one of his shows, he's sitting at the bar, and Stack and Mary walk through the door. They're still alive. They've been alive, but Smoke made Stack promise that he would never touch Sammy. So they're just there to say hi, and that's about it. And then Sammy plays the guitar for him for a little bit, and then they go off. And right as they're about to leave, Sammy says, you know what? About once a week, I wake up from nightmares from that night. But I tell you something, before the sun went down, that was about the best day I've ever had in my life. Then we have the credits. And after the credits, at the very end, there's one last little part with young Sammy in the church playing a blues song. And that's the end of the movie. My God.
Wow. Just under 3 minutes, buddy. Just under 3 minutes.
An hour later.
Yeah, Ryan was impressed.
Oh, was he?
He was, yeah, he was listening, but I had it turned off, so he left.
Man, I definitely skirted over some parts, but like that's a
Well-
movie that even in a 3-minute recap, there's so much you just don't want to leave out.
I mean, you had all the major parts.
The only thing I would
Yeah.
say that was missed was the intro talking about the music and how it brings because of that scene, which we will talk about.
Yeah, but before we talk about it,
Yeah.
we always kind of talk about quibbles first.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a
I
perfect.
have one too. It's not a quibble, but it's a question. But
you're going to go first. You ask away, buddy, because it may be the same thing I have.
All right. So my only question, again, not a quibble, a question, is when the vampires enter and they have their battle royale, then they just kind of go, okay, we got to get out of here. And I go, well, why? Why not keep fighting? And I wasn't quite sure why they left because I forget who it was, and I can't remember, but they go, we got to leave.
Oh, he's talking about Stack and Mary. Talk about Stack and Mary leaving.
Yes, yep, sorry, yes, yep.
Well,
Yep.
Mary runs off, but then I think he's talking about after Smoke has to put the stake through Annie's heart.
Yeah.
Then all
Yeah.
the rest of the vampires kind of clear out of the of the mill.
Someone says we got to get out of here, and as Sammy is going up the stairs to kind of the last little battle, and I was like, "What? You guys are winning! Like, stay in there."
Yes. Stack and Mary left because Smoke killed Mary. I mean, Smoke killed Annie, and
Okay.
what Stack and Mary wanted was for Smoke and Annie for them all to be vampires together. So
Okay.
clearly, Smoke messed that up for them. So Stack was like, "Yo, we got to get out of here. Like, we need to leave."
Well, now
Gotcha.
Stack didn't leave though. Because Stack still has to fight Smoke upstairs in the
Oh
balcony.
no, he grabbed Mary and they ran out, but then I guess he came back. Which
Right.
was I guess that's my quibble. It's like he left, he grabbed Mary and was like, "Come on, we gotta leave," and then he came back in to fight his brother, and I'm like, "What?"
So we see Mary running off. Like we don't see Stack run off. We do see Mary run off into the woods, while the rest of the vampires kind of just stay. I guess they stay outside. So we don't actually see Stack run off, but he does take Mary out of the barn.
Yeah.
So I think he does want to come back for his brother, and he wants to make his brother a vampire because, they're inseparable.
All of the vampires didn't leave because the ones that ran off, I don't know why they ran off, but the rest of them went after Delta Slim, and that's when we saw the group of them jump on him. Some of
Yep.
them did run off, but then the rest of them went after Delta Slim.
That's true. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I
Yep.
forgot about
Thank
Delta
you.
Slim cutting his arm and
Yeah.
drawing all the
Sacrificed
vampires in.
himself.
Yeah.
Sacrificed.
And that was a cool scene because I thought that, like in any other movie, he would have had some kind of weapon to blow up the vampires that swarm on him. But
Right.
he was literally just doing it to distract the vampires so that Smoke and Sammy could get away. And Perline, but then Perline gets bitten by Remick.
And if you go back, he foreshadows his own demise because he was like when he was talking about going to play at the other juke joint, he was like, "It's gonna be here, it's gonna be there, I'm gonna be there," and that's probably about as long as I got to live. And I was just like, "Wow!" Like
Is that what you thought? Is that what you took from that?
that's what I got from that. Like, I mean, even though he didn't know he was gonna die that night. But after you watch the movie, when you watch it the first time, you don't know either. But then when you go back and rewatch it, you're like, he kind of, without knowing, foreshadowed his own death.
I
Cool.
see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
Because when he said that, I figured he was just saying it because he's got a sure thing at this other bar or whatever that he plays at. But then, Stack's thing is not a sure thing. He's gonna play. Is he gonna ruin his chances at this other bar just to play what could be just one night at Stack's? So that's what I got from that. But you're absolutely right in that it does foreshadow that this is his last night. Period. So
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
But no, so my tiny little quibble. First of all, I have a technical quibble, okay? And this is like so tiny, but I saw it once and I can't stop noticing it. the part at the beginning where Sammy is in the back seat and Smoke and Stack are in the front seat? No, I'm sorry. It's when Stack and Delta Slim are in the front seat and Sammy's in the back. There's a part where Delta Slim is talking, and on one shot, Stack is like smiling, and he's got like this open mouth smile, and he's looking over at Delta Slim, but then it cuts to a shot right in front of him, and he's not smiling. He's just looking straight forward. It's just a weird edit. It's not a great edit. It's a great edit for Delta Slim, but not a great edit for Stack. And I can't stop noticing it.
I noticed it too. I was like, he's not smiling, and then he's smiling, and it's like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Nah, it's just one of those, they edited the shot for Delta Slim, and they probably saw that, and they're like, maybe people won't notice.
Oops.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Now that's all
Ryan.
I'll notice. So
Yeah.
thanks.
The movie ruined. Well, there goes that perfect movie for Andrew.
Now it's a 9.9.
This is just a tiny little thing too, but when I watched it the third time, it hit me when the vampires come into the juke joint and they start attacking all of them. I was like, wait a second. There's Delta Slim, there's Smoke and Sammy, and then there's Annie, and then there's Grace, and then Pearline. Who are all these other people that the vampires are jumping on and attacking? And I actually looked it up online, and somebody on Reddit was like, oh, there's people at the juke joint. It's not just them, there's other people in the background. And so the fourth time I watched the movie, I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, oh yeah, there are other people at the juke joint. But then why didn't she make them eat garlic? But I figured in my mind, in my head canon, I figured Annie she had already tested the other ones with garlic.
And this was like her final group of like, you're my last ones that we're going to do this with. I like that.
The
works.
last test subjects. I'm going to eat this garlic.
Yep. I think that works.
A lot of people were wondering that online. They were like, yeah, where did those people come from?
No, they were there.
They were just quiet. They were just quiet in the background, enjoying their night still.
Yeah. Meka, what do you love about this movie? Talk to us.
Did I get a quibble too?
Oh, you got quibbles? Yeah, of course.
I do. Okay, so it was the part when Mary comes back into the juke joint. She gets bit on the shoulder. We find out later on, like while she's doing her thing with Stack, that she was bit, right? There ain't no blood on her dress.
Good call.
And she even had the shawl, which if I was the Ryan Coogler, and I'm like, she would use the shawl to cover up blood stain on the back of her dress, right? But the fact that she wore it like mid-arm, so that her shoulder was exposed, that's what drew me to it. So the first time, of course, I didn't catch it. Second time, I was like, where's the blood? Because when Bo got bit, we saw where he got bit, and it was bleeding and it was bloody. And so that's my little thing. I was like, oh, if y'all would have just covered it up with a shawl,
right,
you would have never known.
Good call.
Very good call. I didn't even think about that.
I neither. Yeah, but yeah, and you're right. They had the perfect opportunity to hide it. Like they.
Right.
God, this movie sucks.
Still great. Just notice a little thing.
Yeah. Sorry, Ryan.
My other question, but I also have an answer to it that I made up in my own head, is that, the rule that vampires can't come back inside. Right? Mary was already invited inside. Stack was already inside. So why can't Mary and Stack just come back inside?
I think it's because it was pre-vampire. I mean, it's once they're a vampire, then...
No, they were inside as vampires. Mary was invited inside by Cornbread.
Oh.
So she could easily just came back inside because she was already invited in.
That's
and
true.
Stack was already inside.
That's true.
With Stack, I could say that just because he became a vampire inside, he was never officially invited in. So once he leaves the building, he's got to be invited in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then in my own head, I said Mary doesn't come back in because she's outnumbered, and she knows if she goes in, they could kill her. So she's going to wait and come in with everybody else.
That's
it. That's it.
I think that works. Go with that.
Can we talk about that scene? That scene?
Please.
Mika, we're just all over the place when we talk about a movie, so.
I love it. I'm here for the chaos.
So I just got to say, everybody talks about the I lied to you scene. The scene where Sammy starts singing and we see people from their past, people from their future, just all different walks of life, all different cultures coming in a single shot even. My God, every single time. I've seen the movie 4 times, and every single time I end that scene with literal tears running down my face. That is one of the most powerful scenes I've ever seen in movie history. Andrew, I've told you about my new sound system.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That scene in this room, oh, my God. It was almost better than the first theater I saw it in. But man, when Sammy hits that high note and then the camera goes out the roof as the roof is burning and then it comes down and you see everybody dancing inside and the whole building is burned down, but you just still see everybody dancing and then you see Remick and the other two. Man, and Sammy's voice merges with the sound of a guitar hitting a high note. Oh my God. That's it.
That scene was very powerful. I remember first time watching it and just getting chills.
Yeah.
Like just instant chills. Like just watching all the different, different people dancing, different cultures, different styles of music. Ryan Coogler, kudos to you for pulling that off. Because wow.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Not just pulling it off, but thinking of it. Like, this is a movie set in the 1930s, and the more I watch it, the more I understand what's happening in that scene, really. But just the first time watching, I'm like, what did you just do? Just seeing, like, just these, all these people dancing. And then even when they brought in the Asian culture, and I was just, yeah, like Mika said, I'll be honest, the first time I saw the movie, I don't think I really cried that much. If I even had tears in my, I was just like in awe of the scene. But every time since then, it's just, I can't help myself. I just sit there and I just start crying because, music means a lot to me.
I know. When we watched, I watched with my wife. Once we start to see everyone dancing from different generations, and we see a DJ up at the top, I was like, this is one of the coolest scenes I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, even now I have goosebumps just because of how, like, I'm almost curious how it looked on paper. He's like, yeah, and then we're gonna see a future DJ, and we're gonna see, like all this, and I'm so curious how it looked because it almost sounds like, well, that I don't know if that'll work. And then once you see it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. It's perfect. And I even thought this was because we always have our sound bites for our episodes here. And I was like, man, this is the first time I wish that we could actually show a scene as a sound bite because it's genuinely a perfect scene. And if we could, it'd be what a gift to people. But
yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, believe me, I have a bunch of scenes written down for sound bites, but I had to be very careful because this movie is propelled by music, the entire movie. And so I had to be very careful and try and get sound bites from scenes that don't have background music for copyright purposes. I know you know this, Mika. The thing about that scene, and this really didn't hit me until the 4th time I watched the movie, when I really paid super close attention to the intro, the opening story, and how once in a generation, somebody comes along that can play music that can summon the ancestors from past and present, but it also summons evil, because evil is attracted to the light. And that's why I love when Remick shows up. They show up because they hear Sammy. And because Remick wants to see his ancestors and he knows Sammy can bring them to him. Whew.
I find myself like randomly throughout the day going, Sammy.
Oh my God.
But that's like we go from one powerful scene to the next powerful scene where Remick and Joan and I can't remember her husband's name. I think it's like Ben or something like that. They show up and he's just watching, and his eyes are glowing and you're like, it's about to go down. And then, he's feeding off the same scene that we just watched. He's watching, he can see what we see. And again, Ryan Coogler's amazing. Like the cinematography in this movie alone is just amazing. And if you catch it, I mean, if you did watch it in IMAX and you were able to see the different ratio, changes between the scenes, like, man, kudos to him.
Well, even not in IMAX. Now, Andrew, you have a widescreen TV, though, right?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Did you see the aspect ratio changing?
I did. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I love that they did that for home video,
Mhm.
because even on my TV, I just watch for it. And I said this on Threads. I said this may be a hot take, but I actually prefer it when the aspect ratio changes in an IMAX movie, because it helps me appreciate the IMAX aspect ratio even more, And I'm going back because Christopher Nolan evidently has put all of his IMAX movies in that changing aspect ratio on Blu-ray. So I'm going back and I'm going to buy all those. I'm going to buy Nope because it does it. I don't think it does it on my digital copy. I don't know. I have to check. But yeah, now I just want everything IMAX at home, even though it's not true IMAX.
Right.
Oh, this movie. God, what else did we talk about? Jeez. Powerful scenes. So that scene stands out. Delroy Lindo's story in the car.
Yeah.
And it's not just the story. The story is just, it just tears you apart. But it's the way Delroy Lindo tells it. It's the other part of the movie that makes me get all teary-eyed because I'm an emotional movie watcher, Meka.
I can take over.
Go for it.
I got you. So this scene where with Delta Slim, he's explaining what happened after him and a friend got arrested for basically playing music. And so they were picked up by police officers or the sheriff's office, put into a jail cell. They told them, hey, play for us, and they was like, okay, yeah, we'll play. And so they played for them, but they played so well that the sheriff was like, we are going to take you on tour. And so they took them to fancy house full of white people, and they played for them. And so they made money off of it. Delta Slim's friend took all his money out of the bank. He is planning on moving somewhere else and starting a church. He gets to the train station. Train conductor sees that he has all this money. They make up a story about him robbing someone, doing something to the person's wife. They end up lynching him. And although this scene is never shown to us, we only hear it. We only hear everything that happens as he's telling the story. And I love the fact that Ryan Coogler did that. I love the fact that instead of showing the trauma, use your imagination on what happened. Basically, it's just based off the sounds that was given to us while he was telling the story. But very powerful scene. And I think I saw an interview where he said that monologue was somewhat improvised.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Whoa.
the one thing I took away later, because they were talking about blues music in the behind the scenes of my home copy, and they were talking about how blues music is a way for people to express the pain that they've been through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so what really gets me now when I watch it is the way that he tells that story, and then when the pain gets too hard for him to continue talking, he starts singing. And then, Smoke, you can tell Smoke is Stack is also moved. And then he tells Preacher Boy to start playing the guitar. And, Preacher Boy is in the back and he's just like stunned. But, he gets out his guitar and just that moment, the way, and then the scene ends just so perfect with Delta Slim just kind of singing. Then he goes, oh, and then it cuts. And then we have a kind of a comedic scene in the fields with cornbread. So it's like Coogler is a freaking genius.
Yeah, he knows how to bring in some light after a very heavy moment. So
Yeah.
and he's done that before. I mean, he definitely does that. He knows how to use your emotions, I guess, in a good way. And when things get a little bit really heavy, he knows just the right amount to bring you back before maybe it gets heavy again. So it's a skill he has for sure.
Yeah. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about, and this has to do with the vampires, because the thing I've always said since the first time I saw this movie is that I didn't even need vampires.
Right.
This movie, if it had just been about two twin brothers starting a juke joint in the 30s in Mississippi, I would have been happy because Coogler was just doing such an amazing job of telling this story.
Yeah.
But then the vampires come in, and the thing that it's still, honestly, and I was hoping, Meka, you could talk about this a little bit, is that they start talking about, there's the racial divide when they're human, you got the white people, they're in the Ku Klux Klan, and all of this is going on. But then once they become vampires, now becoming a vampire is not great, now you're a vampire, now you're a monster, but all of a sudden, you're just a vampire. Everybody's a vampire. There's no racism within the vampire community, if that's what they want to call it. It's, as they say, fellowship and love.
Fellowship and love.
Oh my God, when she does that.
Right, yeah.
Fellowship and love. Oh, so good. It's such an interesting thing because that's got to be such an attractive thing to somebody to become a vampire. But then they're also becoming a vampire. So what do you think about that, Meka?
So coming from a person that loves vampire movies, I'm all about lore. And so for me, it's like most of the time when you become a vampire, you still carry your human traits. You know what I'm saying? So if you was a racist before you became a vampire, you're still a racist after you become a vampire. But he, again, the power of Ryan Coogler flipped that on us. It was like, no, they have now become like Remick. I can see they can see his thoughts. They, and vice versa. And that changed everybody's perspective. They all just want to be peace and love and fellowship, and we're gonna be a big family. And it's like, kind of dig these vampires because any other vampire would have been like, get changed, and they're like, no, I'm still part of the clan. I don't want nothing to do with y'all, but
Yeah.
I love these vampires. Like I had no issues with them. They just wanted that. I think for Remick, he was trying to create his own society. Even when he got called out by Smoke, he was like, you part of the clan? He was like, wait, whoa, no, I am not, sir.
The way the way he delivered that line was incredible.
Yes.
No, wait.
Wait. Like it was almost like he was gonna be like, wait a minute now. I didn't mention anything about the clan.
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. But no, I loved him.
Me too.
Now he meant it, in that moment he meant it, but it does also bring back the moment at the beginning of the movie when Hogsworth is like, there ain't no clan no more. Or however he says it, the clan's dead. So I had the privilege of seeing this in a movie theater that was predominantly black. And they were fantastic. They cheered. The entire theater cheered when Hogsworth died. When he said that, everybody in the theater was like, And it was like, Andrew will tell you, I am usually the first person to complain about people talking in a theater but the moment I sat down and I could tell what the vibe was in that theater, I put that all aside and I said, I'm just going to enjoy this movie. And sure enough, like, it was one of the greatest movie-going experiences ever. And also because it was a great movie and everybody stayed. Most everybody stayed for the credits. So
I think I heard a collective lip snap when he said that line. He's like, he's like, the clan don't exist, bro. Okay.
Yeah. And then the second time I saw the movie, I saw it in IMAX. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. So the other thing that's hit me in the fourth viewing of the movie is that now within the vampire community, it's all fellowship and love. but now the segregation is between the living and the dead. And that is an interesting thing to wrap my head around when I'm watching the movie, that the segregation becomes something completely different.
I think that's an interesting take.
Hmm.
Well, it just started to hit me. I'm like, is that the segregation now? Like, but at the same time, it's a different kind of segregation in that instead of wanting them to be apart from each other, one group is desperate for the other group to join them.
Yeah.
While the living don't want to be a part of the dead. So
True.
It's very interesting.
One thing I'm going to jump back to one thing that you said earlier, which was I would have been fine with this movie if there wasn't even vampires in it, which I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so good, but my wife didn't know what this movie was or like anything about it really. And so when we first see Remick smoking, she's like, wait, is this a vampire movie? I was like, well, yeah. I mean, we are doing it for fun with horror. I was like, there's gonna be some like something's coming. She's like, I didn't even know. I was like, good. That's a great little find then at the halfway mark, you know. But I loved it. I was like, oh, good. I'm glad you didn't know that there was gonna be some more to this movie.
Oh, that's so good. I love that she didn't know.
I know, and I did know. So actually, at the beginning, when Sammy goes to church, at the very beginning, and his dad says, come on in. I was like, oh, we shouldn't have invited him in. I thought he was a vampire for sure.
But he was in the sun, so I never thought he was a vampire.
It hit me right after that. I was like, oh, no, never mind. But I did right when he says, come on in. I was like, I know the rules. Don't do it.
Which brings up something else I love about this movie.
Yeah, Daywalker.
I love that he didn't mess with the rules. You know, I mean, I don't hate when different storytellers kind of mess with the vampire rules, you know, whether it's sparkling in the sunlight or just kidding, other things. But no, Coogler stuck to the basic rules of vampire lore. I think part of that also had to do with just him adhering to the other structures. Like there was a lot having to do with Christianity versus hoodoo. Not versus, but, you know, you had the Christianity aspect to the movie with Sammy's father. And his father telling Sammy that dance with the devil and the devil's going to stay. Or what does he say? You dance with the devil and
the devil's going to show up.
Yeah. But then you have Annie with hoodoo. And one of the great things about the bonus features with my movie is that there's a whole like 10-minute short on the origins of hoodoo and why they thought that was so important to the movie because of how important it is to the culture and everything. So I loved all of that.
Yeah. One thing I would say about that too is whatever, if religious, not religious, anything. I mean, if there's vampires, I'll take anything. Like if I'm scared, I'm like, throw anything my way. Whatever works and sticks, let's go with it. You know?
Yeah.
Whether there's differences or not, give me what I need. I don't care.
Did you know? This is not something that's very hard to believe, but when Sammy plays guitar for Michael B. Jordan in the car or for Stack, that was the first time Michael B. Jordan heard Miles Caton play guitar.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
that was a real reaction.
That was a real reaction.
That was a perfect reaction too, because I'll be honest, listening to Sammy talk and hearing his singing voice, they're different. I mean, they're similar, but man, he can sing. Holy moly. He can sing. And I was expecting a good voice, but I wasn't expecting a friggin' angel. Like I was just like, whoa. And then so that's amazing. I love that was his first reaction because it's accurate. That is an accurate reaction to him singing. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because most times when actors are playing musicians in movies, they're not really playing instrument. And so, yeah, when Miles learned how to play the guitar so that he could play Sammy. And so when Michael B. Jordan or Stack sees him, hears him playing for the first time, that reaction was a natural reaction.
Yeah, that
you could kind of tell because he was like,
yeah,
what?
I mean, I thought that the first time I saw the movie because, I mean, there's acting, and I know he's a great actor, but that reaction was way too honest.
Yeah.
And of course we gonna make some money. That's, that's the script, but, he turned his real reaction into his character, which I thought was fantastic.
Because he's Michael B. Jordan.
It is
And he's so good.
Yeah, that's
every
my
single
baby.
movie. He's so fantastic. Seriously.
He really is.
The thing about Miles learning to play guitar, like, that's impressive anyway, but the way he plays guitar, he is a natural. I could not believe that he learned to play guitar just for this movie, and he can play like that. Because you believe that he is this person who can play and sing so well that he calls on the ancestors, you know? And of course, Andrew, I know you know this, Meka, but did you know who that was at the end of the movie, Andrew? Have you ever heard of Buddy Guy?
I was curious. I knew he was gonna be someone, but I did not know who. No.
I didn't recognize him, but I know who Buddy Guy is. So after the movie, and when I heard that was Buddy Guy playing old Sammy, I was like, what? Because he was also awesome.
Oh yeah.
And they were talking about in the behind the scenes how the night that they were shooting Buddy Guy's scenes, everybody was tired. You know, they've been shooting for a while, but then Buddy Guy just starts playing, and he played an entire show for everybody, the cast and the crew. And there's shots of the crew just standing there watching Buddy Guy playing, and people are just like, I can't believe this is happening right now, because that's
cool.
Buddy Guy.
Power of music. Fellowship and love.
Right. It's that right there's art imitating life, or life imitating art. I mean, honestly, with the movie moments in this movie, that's amazing. That's so cool.
And then you have the Irish songs, and even those are amazing. I mean, I will say when they come up to the door, and I think they're playing Pick Poor Robin Clean, it's kind of funny, you know? But at the same time, they're really good, and I do love watching Stack, because Stack is into it. He's like standing off to the side.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. you
I
know?
caught that.
And Smoke is just like, wait, hurry up. What you got?
He's like, I don't care how good you play. You're not coming in here.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
But yeah, when they do the in-sync guitar wave,
Yeah.
that jailbird down, you know, it's so good. And then I don't know the name of it, but the song that they're playing when Mary
Rocky Road
comes
to
out-
Dublin.
No, not that one.
Oh,
No,
not that
when-
one. Okay.
You talk about Will You Go, Lassie Go.
Yes. It's beautiful. And then what was it, Andrew? Say it
Rocky Road to Dublin, my friend, or Dublin.
again. Wait, do you know that song?
I do. The High Kings. Yeah, the second they started playing, I was like, oh, I know this one. Like, I know it very well. I'm Irish, so there's some songs that
Young Andrew
resonate
Gilliard.
with me. Yeah. So I know that one. Yeah.
It's just so eerie when they're sitting at the door. They're outside the door for a moment, but then they're like, are they playing music? And then it comes in on them, and it's eerie that they're all out in this field at night, and they're all just doing the song. And then when Remick gets in the middle of the circle and they're all going at it, and even when you see Stack and Mary just clapping their hands, and then Remick starts river dancing, man.
It reminded me, but in a way that works. Like, do you remember in movies like in the 90s when at the high school when everyone has this choreographed dance, and you're like, when did these students ever rehearse this dance? This is a weird thing for a high school dance. It happened in all of them. This one, though, because they're all vampires and they're all kind of one, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I actually love that they're all dancing and kind of in sync. And I mean, there are people dancing in different dances and stuff, but I was like, this makes sense. And I actually really loved that scene as well, because it kind of looked like an awesome party. I'll be honest. I was like, that looks pretty cool. Everyone's having a good time, even though they're all vampires.
Yeah, but they're awesome vampires.
They are awesome vampires.
I thought they were. I love that scene. That's probably like one of besides the scene with Sammy, saying play the guitar. Like, that's the other scene was very much powerful. Like, just seeing Remick in the middle, and he's doing his thing, and then the chorus comes in, and you're just like I want to be a vampire now. I don't even want to. I don't want to be in the juke joint anymore. Let me just go be a vampire.
Let me river dance.
Let me go river dance.
So yeah, they had a lot of rain in Mississippi where they were shooting, and they had to shoot that scene on this particular night, and it had been raining all day. So they were worried because the ground was muddy, but it dried up just enough for them to do that scene. And they shot it all night. And, but now
Awesome.
I will say, after the first couple times, that was also my number 2. But more recently, my number 2 scene, my number 2 music scene is Pale Pale Moon. Perline singing.
Mm-hmm.
She is so animalistic in the way she sings that song. And there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, that's the song that's playing when Mary is with Stack and she bites him and stuff. But there's this one moment, and especially with the bass and the sound system and all that, when it's breaking down and it's just this beat, and Mary is just doing this stomp on the stage, and the entire everybody dancing is kind of stomping in unison, and it's just like, oh God, it just gets me every time. I'm just like, damn, this movie, damn.
But also at the same time, they're beating up this dude in the back room to the beat.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So good.
And Bo closes the window, and Grayson and Annie are just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
They're doing their thing over there. But it was the fact that they were beating this man up to the beat. And it was like that part. Like when you say animalistic, that's like you have one room, Mary is killing Stack, which we catch that towards the end, but it's also the whole fight scene, and the dude with the loaded dice, and Smoke is all about that business throughout the whole movie, and he's like handle that, and then they just start beating him up to the beat.
I just love it, and you can feel the heat in that building, and I think that's another reason I like it is I've been to my fair share of club nights, different types of music, concerts and whatnot. And man, I felt it. I felt being in that building that late at night, and just the music and the smoke and everything, and just the sweat. Everybody's hot, and it doesn't matter because they're just having a great time. And that's why at the end, when they talk about how great that night was before everything happened, when old Sammy says, before the sun went down, that was about the best day of my life. And then he says, was it like that for you? And Stack says, well, yeah. He's like, that was the last time I saw my brother. That was the last time I saw the sun, and just, you feel that. And I love the little montage there at the end when he's saying that. But now, Andrew, I always ask you, forgetting the songs now.
Okay. Yeah.
What about the music score?
Good question. I don't know. Honestly, because the songs themselves are such a character in this movie, I'm so focused on those. So it was probably great, but I'm so focused on those songs because they're a character. They deserve a spot in the credits as a character because they are. And so it was probably good.
You'll notice the second time you watch this movie, because I know you're going to watch it again.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's kind of an addictive movie. You know who did the score, Meka?
He is an Oscar-winning composer, but I can't say his name.
Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah.
So Andrew, Ludwig Göransson did Black Panther. He did Black
awesome.
Panther: Wakanda Forever. He did Oppenheimer. He did Tenet.
Okay.
And he also, I think he did The Mandalorian, at least season 1.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Now, here's the thing. I've liked Ludwig Göransson as a composer. I never fell in love with his music. I always liked it until this movie. And after I saw this movie, because he does something in this movie, behind the scenes, they talk about how Ludwig Göransson is originally a guitar-based musician, but his scores have never been guitar-based until now. The beginning of this movie, there's the scene after Sammy comes into the church, and it goes a day in the past, and actually it's after Sammy goes to his home. And then you see the brothers for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And that guitar music that's playing when the camera comes around and you see Smoke, and then you see Stack. There's just something about that guitar. And Ludwig does something throughout the entire movie where he propels the movie forward with just the score, with just his guitar playing. And he's got these themes that come in and out, like the theme that he plays when Smoke is with Annie, the theme when they're driving. It's just so beautiful. It's amazing. And I watched Oppenheimer after watching this, and suddenly I had a huge new appreciation for his Oppenheimer score. So now I'm considering myself a Ludwig Göransson fan, big time.
Nice.
There you have it. Did you know, Andrew? Because I know, Meka, I know you know this.
I know everything.
Actually, well, you know what? I'm going to ask you, Meka. Why couldn't Smoke roll the cigarette at the end?
Smoke suffered from PTSD. So because his PTSD was so bad, Stack rolled for him. If you ever noticed, or if you know, like you noticed in the beginning of the beginning when the first time we meet them, Stack is rolling, hands it to Smoke. Smoke says later on when they're at the juke joint, I need a cigarette. And Stack says, let me right up.
Wow, I didn't.
And then at the end, you're watching him struggle, like trying to roll because he has PTSD.
And his hands shake.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to notice, and I actually didn't notice it until I was watching behind the scenes, and they showed that intro shot of Smoke and Stack. In that scene, Smoke's hand is shaking, and he's holding his hand. He holds it down because his hand is shaking. I never noticed it. Never.
Oh, incredible.
And even when he talks to Annie, he's like, I've seen things that no man should ever see. You know what I'm saying? As he's giving his speech about the things that he's seen. And that was part of it, is that him and his brother fought in the war. And Stack has always found a way to get over his trauma through being carefree, lighthearted, and whatnot. Smoke has always been the serious one. So he took that going to war seriously. And it ultimately caused him to have PTSD to the point where he could not keep his hands from shaking.
I did not catch that. That's the details, man.
What about the vultures flying above various houses and things? Did you notice that, Andrew?
I did. Yep.
What do you think that means, Meka?
If you go based off like old folklore, it means that death is either coming or death has occurred in that area. So the vultures at the mill, death has already occurred. The vultures over the house before Remick shows up, death is about to occur. There are actually vultures that are flying as they are driving down the road too. You got to pay attention. You can see them, and it ultimately means that they are driving towards death.
That's right.
I know.
Love
that was beautiful.
Paying attention. I'll peep.
Andrew, did you notice that the club that Sammy is playing at the end is called Perline's?
Oh, I didn't. Oh, that's awesome. Oh.
He named it after his side piece.
Now, here's something I picked up on in my fourth watch, because I think we've talked about the main things, and now I've just got a bunch of specific things. We mentioned the snake at the beginning. A snake dies. So it's when Smoke and Stack take them to their truck. Now, here's an interesting thought, though. Did they put the snake there to keep people from stealing their stuff?
I don't know, because their reactions seemed pretty
surprised.
Yeah.
Or even, but no, it would still be surprised because they wouldn't be expecting the snake to be right there.
Yeah, because Sammy uncovers
put
it.
the snake there.
True. You're right. Yep.
If they put the snake in there to ward people off from taking their stuff, then they weren't expecting the snake to be right there.
Right.
So
yeah,
you can see that.
That's a good point.
But then the thing I thought is that, it wasn't too long before that his father said the thing to Sammy about the devil. And I wonder if Sammy saw the snake as a devil, because there's a look on Sammy's face when he sees the snake, and when after I think it's Smoke that ultimately kills it, right?
With Stack's knife.
Yeah. Stack throws the knife, and
which I like that.
That's one thing I wrote down is does Sammy see the snake as the devil?
Well,
that's his omen.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
The song,
that.
I don't have the name of it. Maybe you know it, Mika. The name of the song that's playing when they go into town. When Smoke,
Wayne Dang Doodle.
Wang Dang Doodle. That song was basically the genesis of this movie for Ryan Coogler. Because he remembered hearing that song. He went home to visit his family, and the movie came to him as he heard that song, and he remembered hearing it, in his youth. So when he said that in the behind the scenes, I was like, oh, that's that song. That's cool. I like that.
Also, Mika, well done. Like you're knocking this out of the park. Scotty throws some at you, and you're like, "Yep, I got this." I'm like, "Wow, well done."
Better after seeing this movie 8 times. I know. It's just the fact of paying, like, when I watched it the first 2 times, I wasn't really paying attention. But then I watched it, the more I watched it, the more I kept picking on that song. Actually, the Wayne Dang Doodle, I've heard that song before. So, like, I was like, song.
Yeah. I love the shot of Lisa going across the street to get her mom, the oneer. And again, just another great moment in this movie. Everything is perfect. Everything in this movie is perfect. Smoke coming out and shooting the 2 guys that are stealing from him.
Hilarious.
Yes, love that.
And then when he shoots the other guy, and he's like, "Why'd you shoot me?" He's like, can't have you going off saying that you almost. Yeah.
Almost robbed the twins. I think the other scene that I liked was this is almost, if you don't read too much into it, but you do read into it, when Smoke is talking to the little girl and he calls her over. In that scene, you're watching, it's almost as if in his mind, he was like telling himself, like, this is how I would have treated my daughter if she was this little girl's age. Because, he comes up, little girl comes up, he calls her over and he's like, you know who the Smokestack twins are? She's like, of course. He's like, I'm Smoke. She's like, hey, I'm gonna go back to where I was. And he's like, no, you're not in trouble. And he teaches her how to negotiate, because at first he's like, I'm gonna pay you 10 cents to do this. He said, will that work for you? And she's like, yeah. He's like, no, ma'am, that will not. And, he teaches, like, it was almost like in his mind, he was like, I would, this is how I would have taught my daughter if, she had not passed, and that scene right there is, when you go back in and everything that and you go back and see that scene, you can see the father in him coming out.
I never thought of it
Smoke
that
would have
way.
been an awesome dad.
I didn't either, but that's perfect. Like that scene now means a lot more to me.
Yeah. I mean, I always love that scene.
Me too.
I didn't think of it as him telling his daughter. That's amazing.
That is.
Because you see him like looking around, like seeing like who can I get to do this for me? And then he sees this little girl, and he doesn't treat her like, but she obviously looks a little older than, for her age. He acknowledges her as a little girl, like, hey, little girl. And she's like, oh, me?
But and then she's like such a little badass when he comes out and the guy's like, Smoke, I didn't know it was your truck. And she goes, I told you it was his.
Right.
Smoke, I didn't believe her. Just the way she's just like, now she's all of a sudden like, she's just.
That little lesson gave her some confidence, gave her some skills.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now she was like, I'm friends with the Smokestack twins.
It's true. Yeah.
There was another scene I really liked that, even though we'd seen the kind of the difference in Smoke and Stack of just their personalities, is when they're at their place at night and the guy can't afford the beer. And is it Stack that says, let him, hey, you worked hard today. That's fine. I got you. And Smoke's like, hey, no, we can't be giving charity. Like, we cannot be doing this. And I just love that scene because it's even if you hadn't seen anything before, if you just get that scene, you get their personalities in 2 seconds. You know exactly who they are, and how their brains work differently than one another. And I liked that scene. I liked that moment.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I also loved the complexity of the relationship between Stack and Mary. It's not apparent on the surface how complex it is, but then as you listen to them and you realize, it's because of, even though she said her uncle was black when she's talking to Sammy.
That's yeah.
Her
Or her grandfather or somebody.
her grandfather was half black. I think that's what she says.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Sammy says, "What are you?" I think is
Which was a weird question. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. But
And even she says, "I'm human," and he goes, oh, "That's not what I."
I'm a human being.
Yeah.
yeah, the way she answers them is so great. She was
Mhm.
also incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
Like I've liked Hailee Steinfeld before, but my God, she just she rose above on this movie. But then, so you find out, you realize that Stack left her, said he was going to come back, but then he went to Chicago with Smoke and did not come back, left her there for a long time. We don't know how long they were gone, but they've been gone for a while. And then he's back now. She's married, but she's in love with Stack, and she just wants to be with him. But Stack is just thinking, because even though she's got black in her, he sees the color of her skin, and he knows that, especially, like, it's hard to remember because of today's culture, even though there is racism and bigotry, it's still way more accepted. In the 1930s, it wasn't at all. And people would get lynched and killed for having a multiracial relationship. So he's doing it to protect her. God, that moment when he tells her that, when he says, "I love you," but I forget how he says it, but I'm bad for you, or however he says it. And then he walks away, and then she just, the tears coming down her face because she understands too, but she doesn't like it. And then she stays. But
she had 2 chances to walk away.
Yeah.
She had 2 chances. If she had never shown up to the juke joint that night and had just went home to Arkansas to her husband, it would have been, she would have never become a vampire. But it was the scene at the train station where she was loud. And, and Stack is like, "Hey, lower your voice." You know what I'm saying? Because all it took was for the wrong person to hear her say what she was saying to him, and it would have went completely left. And it's that moment. Like, he loves her, but he's doing whatever he needs to do to keep her, away. Because he's like, "I don't want to see you get hurt." And even when he was like, I'll get some of these chicks in here to beat you up. And she was like, "Boy, bye.
You taught me to
taught me
fight."
how to fight. But that's the fighter in Mary. Like, that's how much she was willing to fight for her relationship to be with Stack, because she just wanted to be with him so much. And what I love about Mary and Annie is that they call them out by their government name.
Yes.
And Elijah and Elisha.
Yeah.
Like, they called them out by their government names. It was almost like a spell on them. Like, as soon as Annie said Elijah, he was like, "Yeah, so I love you."
Yeah.
It was crazy because it happened the same way for both of them. Because she was like, "Elias," and he was like, "What you want me to say? I love you. I care about you." Like, that's all it takes. Like, I stop calling people I start calling you by government name. Scotty.
And that brings up another thing that I loved about this movie is the ease. Well, it's not really ease, because it takes a little bit to get it out of them sometimes, but people telling each other they love each other, Like, of course you have Stack and Smoke telling Mary and Annie, "I love you," but I love seeing Smoke and Stack hugging each other and saying, "I love you." They're brothers, but it's nice to see it. It's just something Andrew and I have always said, what's
I like you.
I like you. I like you as well.
Yeah.
No. Make telling your best friend that you love him, make that normal. Normalize it,
Yeah.
And so when I see that in a movie, and I just saw it in Brave New World, Captain America, where Bucky tells Sam, "I love you." And I'm just like, there we go. Normalize it. So it's nice to see, and it's nice to see in this movie too. It's also nice to see people drooling in other people's mouths.
Oh, look, here's the thing. I've kissed my wife 1,000 times. But I honestly, if she was like, "Hey, can I drool in your mouth?" I'd be like, "No, you cannot. That's weird. I don't like it." Maybe it's not weird. That's not the right term because people, whatever people are into, that's
People
fine.
have
But
their
like,
kinks.
I'm not into it.
I did love the fact, though. I mean, I talked about the vampires having normal vampire rules, but I don't know that we've ever seen drooling vampires, and I loved that. I didn't love it because I want a vampire to drool in my mouth. I just love it because, yeah, like they're so hungry that they're drooling. You know, it was a nice touch that Coogler threw in there.
Yeah, I'm like going through my vampire Rolodex to see if we've ever had a drooling vampire. It wasn't even just like regular drool. It was like it almost looked like spit. You know,
It was
just
thick.
like a spit. It was thick hanging off the side of
Yeah.
side of their mouth. And
Yeah.
even when Stack was like, "Baby, you drooling," I was like, "She's not drool. She just she got spit out of her mouth. Like it's not drool." And then the scene happened, and I was like, first time watch, I was like, mouth wide open, like, oh my God. Every time I've watched it after that, I have to turn away because I can't watch it. Like it's nasty. Like no.
I don't
You're
turn
not-
away. I watch it with both eyes.
You can't spit in my mouth. That's nasty.
Yeah. There's some about spit too. Like I'm just, yeah, I don't like
Like
it.
even when I see the spit like hanging from like the side of Remic's mouth, I'm like, what the?
Yep.
Another little thing I liked, and I love it every time I hear it, is when I think Smoke asks Annie when he first sees her, "How you been?" And she says, "No misery's worth complaining about." And I love that line. That is such a great line. I've never heard it before. I loved it in this.
Yeah.
Let's see. I loved the way blood just gushed out of people.
Yeah.
Coogler was not afraid to have like spouting, gushing blood everywhere. And it was amazing.
I'm all about it.
Although I will say the blood that came out of Delta Slim was not the same blood that came out of Annie. I don't know what that blood was that came out of Delta Slim. It was like ketchup. Not even ketchup. It was like ketchup mixed with mayonnaise. That's what it looked like.
It's a little watery though, too.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Yeah.
I was like, because when Annie was bit and, Smoke had to, stake her blood was like dark.
Yeah.
It looked like blood. Like, it looked like she was really bleeding. But then when Delta Slim cut his arm open, I was like, what?
It's the lighting. That's all.
It just looked a little weird. But yeah.
That's one of the most painful parts of the movie for me, though, because he just like scrapes that bottle down his arm.
Ugh.
And I'm like, dude, could you not do it a different way that doesn't look so painful? Like you just scraped into the meat, and then there's like different arteries just squirting out of his arm. Man.
But he knows he's going to die. So it's like, well, whatever.
He had a chance, though. I'm not. For me, Delta Slim had a chance. He could have went and ran with Pearline and the rest of them and just try to battle it out with. He could have been involved in the final fight with Stack and Smoke. You know what I'm saying? But get it? He sacrificed himself so the others could get away. And I mean, I wouldn't let Pearline would have made it up the stairs. I'm just saying, if anybody ain't gonna make it, you ain't finna make it.
I love the cinematography, first of all. I mean, obviously. But I especially liked, so I don't know if you know this, Meka. I am a colorist. I do color correction for movies and TV shows.
Nice.
And a lot of times when people are in the dark, a colorist will put a window on their faces. It's just like this window, and they brighten up the window so that you can see their faces better. But in this movie, when people were in the dark, they let them be dark. And I love that. I loved how dark the dark areas of this movie were. And speaking of dark areas, I loved when Cornbread is going peeing and you hear the vampires around him. It took me a couple times watching to notice the glowing eyes behind him in the dark.
Yeah.
You saw that, Andrew?
I did, yeah. And I did love too that you hear them whispering his name too. Is that Cornbread?
Yeah, Cornbread. Fellowship of Love.
Fellowship of Love.
Also, some of the influences that this movie paid homage to. Obviously, we had the Shining reference with Smoke and Stack on either side of the door with the camera looking up at them. And then I didn't really catch this the first time I saw it, but somebody mentioned it. But it's kind of coincidental that we just did The Thing, 1982, and the scene where they're all eating the garlic is very reminiscent of the blood test scene in The Thing. So
I had that same thought.
oh man! Also, I love that Annie's juju bag is what saves Smoke from Stack biting him. Stack's about to bite Smoke in the neck, but Annie's little juju bag is right there, and Stack can't bite through it. And you wonder if Annie's hoodoo actually works, you know? Like it's mythical. Although when you start looking at the fact that vampires exist in this world, you understand that all this other stuff has to exist as well. And so I love the fact that that is like visible proof that her hoodoo does work. And I love the fact that Annie, in the end, saves Smoke from becoming a vampire.
As she saved him countless times.
Countless times.
But she was like, how you know all that I didn't pray and pull every root that my grandmother taught me to protect you and that crazy brother of yours? Yes, Stack is the crazy brother. And he didn't have a hoodoo bag, so made all the sense.
Yeah.
But also because he didn't believe in because he called Annie a witch. So he didn't believe in it. So that's why he didn't have a bag.
But why didn't he believe in it? Because she couldn't save their baby.
Oh no, well, that was Smoke.
Oh wait,
Smoke,
we're talking about Stack?
Yeah, Stack didn't believe in Annie. He called Annie a witch. Okay. Smoke didn't believe in it, but he still wore the hoodoo bag. So he believed. He believed, but I don't think Stack believed in it because again, it's one of those things where, like, going back, when you become a vampire, do you keep your same energy? Stack kept his same energy because he called Annie a witch.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
That's good.
That is very good, actually.
Yeah. Wow.
I think my last note is something it took me 4 viewings to notice, or something, or for it to register, and that is that at the end, even though all this stuff has gone down, Sammy finally gets to drive Stack's car.
Full circle moment.
Full circle.
Yep.
And I think that's about all I have. Do you guys have any more notes? Anything you want to talk about before we go to our 3 questions?
I just want to say, Mary and Perline, your husbands are looking for you.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I honestly, I kind of question if Perline was even married, because I was like 1930s. You just gonna let your wife leave and go to a juke joint by herself? And I know she was a singer, got that part of it. But you just gonna let your wife go to a juke joint by herself, a brand new juke joint, and you don't go to? Husband? Yeah, got questions. And then Mary left her husband in Little Rock, in Arkansas. So I want to say that she and Stack showed up at the house, and she was like, "You don't live here anymore."
Right.
Exactly.
And they got rid of him.
Because you know that they have to drink blood to live. So through all these years.
Right. So Perline and Mary, your husbands are looking for you.
I do like that you brought up Perline, though, and I did like the whole thing with Stack telling Preacher Boy how to find the button, and then Preacher Boy finding the button.
Which, still, and she walked all the way there, and then she danced.
But that's what made it even better, because she's like, let me wash up, and he's like, I just want to taste you. Oh,
wow!
And then I loved Grace's face when she hears them through the door. Like, I like how Stack is proud of him, but then Grace's face when she hears him through the door, and she's just like, and she walks away. So
should
funny.
Be listening to this.
Yeah, so good.
I have a 14-year-old stepdaughter, and her brother was like, or she said, we should watch Sinners with Dad, and her brother was like, nope, I've seen it. We're not watching that one, Dad. And she told me this, and I was like, Yeah, that's fair. It might not be the most fun to watch with a parent, some of those scenes.
I watched it with my mom.
Yeah.
Like I watched it yesterday. It's crazy. I
Mhm.
watched it yesterday too. So I watched it yesterday with mom, and that scene came up, and I had just got up and walked out the room.
Yep.
I was like, I can't be in here with you when this scene is going on, and I'm a grown woman.
Yep. I thought the same thing. I was like, yeah, I would be very uncomfortable with you sitting next to me watching some of those moments.
I don't care who I watch the movie with. I'm staring them straight in the face during that scene. I'm just looking in their eyes,
What do you think?
especially if it's Andrew. Are y'all ready for 3 questions?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, let's do it. Hey, Bowie.
Meka, you first.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
Question number 1. What did you think was the best kill or death in Sinners?
Ooh, best kill or death?
Excuse me.
To go with Remix death. Even the lead up to it, like getting staked and then the sun taking him out, like it was cinematic. I ain't never seen a vampire go out in a cinematic way.
That's fair.
In full
Yeah.
IMAX.
In full IMAX. in a whirlwind of a like a fire tornado. You know, like
Yeah.
you don't see that. Yeah, Remix death.
There you go.
That's best.
Andrew?
That was the best
Love
death.
it. That was mine originally, but I went with Hogwarts or Hogsworth.
Oh, yeah.
I did. It was just great to see him get it, and not just get it, but I mean like 30 bullets to the body. It reminded me of well, that would ruin something. There's another movie it kind of reminded me of, which I'll say after we stop recording. But
No spoilers.
no spoilers. But it was just fun to watch him get it bad.
Man, that's a good one too. Now I can't decide.
What was your original pick? Now that we,
I was going to say Remick too, because
Mhm.
I mean, I love, and I think I'm going to, as much as I wanted, and I just looked it up, by the way, it's Hogwood.
Oh,
not
Hogwood,
Hogsworth.
my bad.
Hogwood. No, we've all been
Hogwood.
saying it wrong. So, but if any character deserves to have his name said wrong, it's that one.
There we go. Yeah.
Facts.
As much as I wanted him to die more than anybody else in the movie, Remick's death was just so, it was so perfect and it was so beautiful and so cinematic, as Meka said, you know. And I love the fact that first he gets the metal disc in his head, the silver disc, and it's burning him and it's burning all the other vampires. I love that. And then when he gets staked and he just, that fire tornado, like Meka said, and the way Smoke and Sammy are illuminated by the fire.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an iconic shot already.
Right.
You know, people show that shot of them hanging on to each other. And that's another, going back to that scene real quick, that's another thing that somebody brought up just today that was very sweet, is that when Smoke runs up to Sammy, you know, he's like, I'm here. You're okay. Are you okay? I'm here. And he just keeps telling Sammy that he's here. So just like the little girl in the town, Smoke is also seeing Sammy as the kid he never had, you know? So it's just another nice touch and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm also Remick. Meka, do you think Sinners is scary?
No, it's not. It's not scary. I mean, even though it has vampires in it, and there are some moments, but scary. No, not. I don't think it's scary.
Andrew?
I agree with Meka 100%. Yeah, I didn't lose sleep over this one, but yeah. What about you?
Overall, no, there is one moment, and I didn't bring this up earlier because I knew I was going to bring it up now, but there is one moment, and it's the part after Cornbread gets shot in the mouth. And when he's getting up and blood is just dripping from his face, and just how big he is, and also a vampire, and his face is like, that is a scary shot.
Yeah.
So the movie itself isn't scary, but I think that is a very, very scary shot. Just that one.
That's fair.
Agreed.
Meka, question number 3. Did you have fun with horror?
I had fun.
Okay. Okay, good. Andrew, did you have fun with horror?
Yeah, of course I did. This is such a fun movie. So definitely. What about you?
I'm going to have so much fun with horror over and over again watching this movie. I love this movie. But I had so much fun talking to you three. You two. It's three of us, two of you.
So are you talking to yourself?
Right?
Well, my
No
cat's also
judgments.
meowing. So, yeah. Anyway, sinners.
What y'all doing? Just step aside and let me on in now.
Why you need him to do that? You big and strong enough to push past us?
Well, that wouldn't be too polite now, would it, Miss Annie?
Well, going from, I mean, what many have said is one of the best movies of the year, your next pick, buddy. I don't know. I'm very curious. I actually don't know what this one's going to be. There's a few movies it could be, but sometimes you throw a curveball and we jump to, Dr. Giggles. So what are we watching, man?
This one is not too much of a curveball. I'm going to stay current. I'm going to stay this year. It's a movie I've been wanting you to see. We're going to watch Osgood Perkins's The Monkey.
Can I tell you something?
What?
I watched that movie today.
What?
I kid you not. My brother came over today and we were like, my wife and son went to the pool and my daughter sleeps until, 3 p.m. So we were just hanging out and we said, let's watch a movie. And we picked The Monkey. So let's do it, man. I'm excited to talk to you about it.
All right. I'm going to do this again.
Okay.
Don't tell me you've seen it.
Okay. Sorry.
Our next movie is The Monkey.
Awesome. Okay. I'm excited.
Yay.
Yay. Yay. Exciting. What an awesome opportunity.
Maybe I'll keep
I'm
it all
excited.
in. I don't know. Meka, you've
Keep
seen
it
The
in.
Monkey. I remember when you watched The Monkey, we actually talked about it briefly. And if I remember right, you thought it was okay.
I can't talk about it because y'all got to talk about it.
No, you can talk about
Yeah,
it.
you can
tell
you
us
can talk about
without
it.
spoilers.
Oh, I
what
didn't
did
like
you
this
think
movie.
about it? Oh, you didn't
I didn't
like
like
it
it.
at all.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I didn't really care for it. No spoilers, but yeah, it just did do it for me.
Okay.
Maybe I may have to rewatch it again in order to get what everyone else was saying about it. But when I went and watched it, I was like, that was it. I'm gonna go watch
Well,
something else.
this is what I want to say, and this is why one reason that I picked this movie, even though you watched Sinners with us, I wanted to pick this movie while you're still on this episode with us because it was your review of The Monkey that made me think we should have her on the show at some point. And it was because you did have negative things to say about the movie, but you still tried to find the good in it, which is something that Andrew and I always trying to do. Even if we don't like a movie, we try and find redeeming qualities.
Mhm.
And you did that with The Monkey, and I really appreciated that. So, The Monkey
Thank you.
led you to us.
Oh no.
But that's it. Meka, thank you so much again for being with us. This was a fantastic episode.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, tell everybody who's still listening, who haven't turned us off yet, tell everybody where they can find you and what you have going on.
Okay, so I am at Cinematic Nightmares podcast on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube. I do have some upcoming projects coming because I guess you could call me an actress. Let's go with actress. I do have a project on Tubi called Far From the Tree. I'm in that. And then I have another project, an Earl E. Christmas, coming out in November. And then I'll be filming 2 more movies in October and December. And one is called Don't Push That. It's supposed to be like a psychological, I ain't gonna say psychological, but supposed to be like I don't know, like a psychological comedy type thing. I don't know. It's weird. But and then the other one is I cannot tell you what it's about, but I get to play a total badass in this movie. So
Okay.
yes, follow me
Awesome.
at Cinematic Nightmares podcast, and top 5 will be dropping on Sunday.
Heck yeah. Everybody make sure you go
Awesome.
subscribe, like, follow her on YouTube.
Yes.
And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was really fun having you on. Thank you so much. It was, like I said, you were, gosh, Scotty throws these things at me and I'm like, I don't know. And then you're here and it's like, you knock it out of the park. You know exactly what's going on. You're ready to go. I'm like, well done. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Andrew's
I
like,
love
what
this
movie did we watch?
No, what? Who? Huh?
Who?
It's like I watched it. I did. I promise you.
I read the Wikipedia and I figured, that's probably good. So,
All right. Well, everybody out there, thank you so much for listening to Fun with Horror.
yes.
Thank you for listening and watching Cinematic Nightmares with Meka G.
Yes.
And we love you all. Andrew, I love you.
Scotty, I love you.
Meka G, we love you.
I love you too, also, with all my heart.
We love you with all our hearts.
Damn it.
Hey, baby. Come on outside. I got the car started. Let's go. What is Grace?
He's killing him.
Oh, you talking about that? I don't worry about cornbread. You're just a little hungry, that's all. Let's go. Come on.